welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a tier list that is over on Reddit. Very cool, and I want to give you my thoughts and opinions on it. Going through and kind of taking it one step further, kind of looking at some of the builds for some of these heroes, guys, because they are pretty big. When it comes to the Awakened heroes, building them out is really a huge priority, because the higher you're going to build them, not only are you unlocking their skills and abilities, but they're going to do a lot better with their damage wise, which is the reason why we build them. So let's go ahead and take a look at the list. All right, guys, so here it is. Absolutely visually stunning, guys. Big shout out to Rakude over on Reddit. He used to create guides. I haven't seen anything from him in a while, but even down in the comments, he said, you know, I used to create AFK arena guides. Wanted to come back, wanted to give it a shot. Shout out for him, because again, a lot of people that are creating these guides or used to create these guides really don't anymore for the visual aspect. But looking here, patch 1.111, looking at the light bearers, we can see Belinda, of course, is the absolute meta. You can see all of his notes on the side, and then adjustments, kind of the up and down, which is kind of what I looked at tier list maker when I did my tier list a little bit earlier this month, really breaking it down. And again, I love how this looks. I feel like overall there are so many heroes within AFK Arena. A tier list is kind of difficult to do just because of the sheer size of it and the sheer amount of heroes we have. So I like breaking it out in the factions. I've done something similar to this where we did break out all of the factions. I'm just going to have to kind of add to this at a point in the future where we can put the builds of these heroes kind of together. And again, it's going to be kind of crazy. So looking here, meta defined carries, Awakened Belinda, Awakened Thane, and Scarlet. Absolutely, guys. Those are the three strongest heroes within the Lightbearer faction. Even when I'm at the stage of running multiple tower levels, so I actually have three teams within the floors. One team contains each one of those heroes. That is kind of how it is built. Top support, Palmer, Rowan, Rain, and Rosalind. Absolutely, again, those are the heroes that are being used. Awakened version of Belinda, arguably the best hero in the game. Big thing with her, guys, that is kind of different than the other Awakened heroes, and this is why I believe Cyril put out a guide too that said, you know, build Awakened Belinda first. The reason is you can utilize her, and she is the best in slot in some game modes just at Legendary. Literally just having the hero at Legendary, she is doing incredibly well in some game modes with one single copy, which is kind of crazy because short of the Awakened version of Aziz, which not really many people use, is the only other hero that can work just at a super basic level effectively. The rest of them can work somewhat, but not to the level they need to. Now, very unbalanced faction. I agree with this in its entirety, guys. Even when you're running through this list, probably the S plus to the B, I don't think a majority of the C heroes, the D heroes, the F heroes are utilized at all, short of the tower, just because you have to. There's not really. Hendrik sees a little bit of play in some PvP modes, but you do have to have him built. But pretty much everyone else, the original version of Thane really has one spot. If you're at the point of not having him yet or not building him yet, there's no reason to build him. He's actually substituted now in a lot of formations from the Awakened version of Thane, which of course is just kind of his replacement. Free to play, Scarlet, Palmer, Rowan, Rosalind, Rain. Absolutely love that, guys. Now, of course, we know Rain still is an older hero that has made an absolute game-changing effort within AFK Arena. Is still utilized because kind of the revitalization of the Awakened version of Belinda has brought Rain back into formations, which is awesome. Scarlet as well, which is very cool. So looking here, he just shows some adjustments up and down that he did. Only one that I would probably adjust in here, looking at him, pretty solid build, is probably Hendrik. Just because, again, he does have a little bit of viability. I do use him. The rest of the heroes, unfortunately, at this time, not at all. Then we get into the Maulers. So looking at the Maulers, guys, the Awakened version of Brutus, of course, the S plus hero. Utility for him is huge. It is absolutely huge utility when it comes to building him out and actually developing him. You can see Anasta in there. We have Kren and we have Screg definitely being used, even with the addition of the new Hypogen hero. A lot of players are starting to see, again, the invade teams kind of coming back. And with the invade teams, as much as I like it, looking at the tier list, everything looks good. Awakened Brutus and Anasta, two most versatile. Absolutely, guys. Some heroes like Screg or Skarath are always because of meta. Skarath, of course, bringing everyone together. The invade team doesn't work without Screg fundamentally. Several carry options to choose from. Face the same issue. A lot of the heroes are pretty bad. Initially looking at the wish list, Honesta, Scrag, Kren, Skarath, and Brutus. Big thing with Brutus, guys, is the original version of Brutus. He is another hero that you almost have the same utility with one copy as you do building him out fully awakened, which again can kind of work in some different game modes. I might even replace, just once you get a copy of Brutus, actually dropping him out of there, possibly putting in Honesta, or excuse me, Entendre. Just because Entendre, guys, when it comes to the tower, when it comes to the Mauler Tower, she is one of the driving forces, especially works incredibly well with Scrag. So Entendre in this one, I would actually put her up probably to the A level, probably with Skarath, possibly a little bit higher, just for the fact not only here is we are also seeing her utilized within Cursed Realm team comps, and we are also seeing her utilized currently within the Grand Hunt. If you don't have her built, it is going to be very detrimental. Where Brutus, I don't really know any place. I know, again, early game with one single copy will work incredibly well, but Honesta would be really my choice to build up a little bit higher in here. And on to our Wilders. Wilders, one of the most versatile factions within AFK Arena. We have the Awakened version of Solus up there. Absolutely. We have Mishka, we have Nevi. Very well balanced, used in a lot of utility. We have Raku, and we do have Leica. Again, a ton of utility, guys. We're seeing, not only the meta formations, but campaign formations. Still seeing a lot of utility within the Curse Realm within those heroes. Still seeing a lot of the Treasure Scramble within those heroes. Absolutely very, very big heroes to build. Even when it comes to this A tier, yes, Iran for the 5-pole. We have Tamaris, which again is working into PvP formations, working into Cursed Realm. Same with Peanut. Little Astar, still utilized in a lot of formations. Lorzen for the Link, again, kind of a basic build. A lot of players do use Lorzen in a couple different game modes. Big thing with him, guys, is he is similar to Brutus, where you don't have to have a lot of copies to really have him to that effective level. And one hero that I think a lot of players really overlook is Orin, actually sitting right here in the B tier. I would probably move him up a little bit just because I have seen firsthand, I haven't built the viability within the Wilder Tower. You will get to the point of the Wilder Tower, guys, similar to the Lightbearer Tower, where we have the Awakened version of Thane, Awakened version of Belinda, and we have Scarlet. He is the one who literally makes your third team when you get there, or if you haven't built up a little bit earlier, he is going to be one of the absolute dominant carries within that tower. Without him, doesn't do incredibly well. In addition, a lot of players are also subbing in that Awakened version of Thane with a built copy of Orin, working in a similar fashion, maybe not quite as well because of the SP effect, but it's still working incredibly well for players that do not have that Awakened version of Thane. Now, looking at our C, D, and F tier, those heroes, again, short of the tower, not really being used. Namora has a Beguile ability with the 9 of 9 furniture, which again is kind of a cheese, but some players definitely do a little bit of a cheese with her in campaign formations, usually where we do see it. Every now and then we see it kind of in another place, but definitely agree with the tier list, guys. Again, this one I would put Orin a little bit higher, just because I feel like a lot of players do not have him built, or a lot of players kind of underestimate where they can be built. And again, some of the one-offs like Pippa with the Thorn Cheese. If you don't have a +20 signature item Pippa, the Thorn Cheese for a lot of stages is not going to work fundamentally, which is kind of crazy, but I definitely love the format of this tier list, guys. This is very, very cool to see. Which of course brings us to the Graveborns. Similar to the Wilders, they have so many incredibly solid heroes that create a ton of energy and synergy between teams. Now looking here, guys, we have the Awakened version of Baden, and then we have Grez in the S+. Similar again to the tier list that I did. Grez is literally a hero that is still being used through every single game mode, from the campaign to everything. It is kind of crazy that he still maintains that much utility within AFK Arena, and still one of the very top heroes to build within AFK Arena. Great PvP options. We have Damon, we have Thorin. Definitely works for the PvE option. Shamir deserves to be awakened 100%. And again, big shout out to him for that one, guys. That is the hero that I would love to see probably more than any other would be that awakened version of Shmira, just because of the utility. Looking at our free-to-play wish list, Grez, Oden, Silas, Damon, Pharrell, or Hodgkin. In that, I would probably do the same as we've seen with Brutus. If you're earlier game guys, one copy of Pharrell, one copy of Nara will really carry for an incredible amount of time. Short of the tower, again, I don't know where they're using Pharrell, but Hodgkin does have a lot of viability, especially within the Abyssal Expedition, as the buffing, as the crowd control. Hodgkin is a hero you absolutely want to build. Now, a couple points to this one. Here we have Kayleen, again, utilized within the Curse Realm. The tower works incredibly well. Same with Desira. Seeing a little bit of play with her. Edwin, it's still kind of questionable. He still kind of has a little question mark. We're starting to see him in some game modes, but I don't know exactly where he's going to fall. Of course, PvE, it is Thorin. And then, of course, PvP, Tresnar used to be used a lot. It doesn't seem like as much. And same with Fane. We've been looking, again, fundamentally at this, guys. The S+, S, S-, and A tiers are really the ones that you're focused on building. The rest of the heroes, even looking down here, don't have very much utility at all, which is why they're in the lower tier. Not really a big priority to build. But again, I want to see the awakened version of Shmira. I think it would be one of the coolest things we've ever seen. All right, guys, on to our Celestial heroes. So as you can see here, very strong support option. That is one of the big reasons why, when you look at the Celestial faction overall, it's incredibly hard to make progression in the tower because they don't have a big, solid awakened carry. The reason I struggled so much, and I still do with the Celestial Tower, is the damage dealers. If you are missing one key specific damage dealing hero, you're not going to make it through the stage, period. It is kind of crazy that that's the way it's built. But DLC's growing use in every mode. Yes, he's in the Treasure Scramble, Curse Realm, in the Grand Hunt. He's used in a ton of different places. And that's it, guys. Lacks a true hyper carry. Really do not have a solid carry in there. Halos, of course, support. We have twins in here with support. Alna is kind of support, even though she is a warrior for other heroes, giving that immunity with that 9 of 9 furniture. And then, of course, Bathiel, even though he's a tank, he's a buffer kind of as a support hero. But he also does a considerable amount of damage in most of the 2-team Celestial Tower fights that I use. Bathiel is kind of the main carry. The awakened version of Taylene, damage is decent, but definitely not enough. Now, she was the first one. Of course, it's been a year and 3 months, I think, since she's been out. Now, the original version of Taylene in here, I would probably put a little bit higher because combined with Orthos, guys, that is the best in slot team for a majority of the Curse Realm comps. We are also seeing that as the best in slot team for the Grand Hunt currently. Her utility, and it's funny because looking at the tier list, I use, and I have the awakened version of Taylene, and I have Taylene. I use that original version of Taylene probably 10x the amount of times that I use the awakened version of Taylene. Again, the awakened version of Taylene does have a place, tower most of it, but I use the original version of Taylene with the Orthos combo. That is really my go-to for a lot of the stages that I use it for. And again, most of the Curse Realm is run with those two together. A lot more details on that later. But looking here, guys, Moriel essentially has almost completely dropped out. Tarnos is the big PvP aspect. Same with Zap, really only used in PvP. Audrey, again, tower. She's not even, I don't even think, used in PvP anymore. Maybe one team on occasion. Athalia still has a lot of utility. And then, of course, the 3 in the bottom. Not really so much. So again, this one I would probably put Taylene, the original version of Taylene, up a little bit higher. But the only caveat to that is you have to have Orthos with that 3 of 9 furniture or that time stop ability. If you're missing Orthos with that ability, the original version of Taylene almost becomes useless. Because the synergy and the team dynamic is not there if you do not have them built. And here we are with the Hypogens, the Hypogenians. Lucretia, yes, absolutely. She is used in a lot of different places. I would probably bump her up to the S+, just because of the current tier and how the heroes are going. Don't know if the new awakened hero or the new hero is going to make it into the S+, but guys, Lucretia is a hero that carries pretty much through anything in AFK Arena. In the campaign formations, a lot of players that don't have a ton of heroes built, still utilization within the Treasure Scramble. We're still seeing her in the Curse Realm. We're seeing her pretty much, again, in a majority of AFK Arena. There's not going to be many places that you do not find Lucretia built within there. And great buffers. We have Mortis, we have Aziz, we have Kanisa and Rook. Yeah, Awakened Disease is by far the worst. Yes, I have him completely built, and I wouldn't even probably put him in the A tier, because if you get one copy, I would never pull for him, but if you're random enough to get one copy, I would probably put him down a little bit lower, because short of the campaign, I don't know anywhere he's used. Even if you are building him up a little bit higher, you'll break him within the Hypogen Tower, which is where I'm at right now. He will not die, meaning Lucretia doesn't get the buffs, so I actually have to just drop him out, so not even utilization within there. Too early to tell, but it says Matria might be S or S minus. That's one of the big things, guys. It's really getting the mixed reviews, similar to our B tier Olgath right here. Really got mixed reviews when the hero was released. Not quite strong enough to go to meta. Kind of has a confusing kit where you have like a Belinda that is literally just straight damage, burn damage. They have a viability in different places, but again, the heroes are so expensive to build out. Is the reason why a lot of players do not build them out. So again, looking here, we have our C tier, we have our D tier. Absolutely, guys. Khazard, I would probably even put possibly a little bit higher, again, just because of the viability with other teams. I mean, we're seeing him with Raku and Leonardo da Vinci. We're seeing Khazard's crowd control aspect in a couple different places. Mahira campaign, literally that is it. Frampton, again, is a hero that is used if you haven't built at this point of AFK Arena. If you don't have Olgath, if you don't have Frampton built, I really don't recommend building them, just for the simple fact we're going to have more Celestials and Hypogens that are coming out that are essentially going to move these heroes back further down the tier list, meaning the viability is really not going to be there. Now looking here, guys, we have Kanisa and Rook, we have Aziz, and we have Zorath. Absolutely, guys, the S minus tier are kind of the big priority heroes. But fundamentally, even looking here again, Khazard will work at Mythic Plus, not a big drive, or excuse me, Mythic, with the signature item, and Mahira will work even less because of the Mesmerize effect, but it does work. And I believe Valoris is still used in one Curse Realm comp. I think it might be the best in slot for a Curse Realm comp, but again, I really do not like building out one specific hero for one specific game mode, because it is a very, very high expensive investment. So overall, guys, absolutely amazing in there, and we have one more to go. All right, guys, so the final one is our dimensional, really strong support. Joan of Arc, Albedo, Merlin. Absolutely, guys, I would put Joan of Arc up to this S+. I don't know any formations that do not use Joan of Arc, followed by Albedo. Albedo is really the hinge that swings the door for the dimensionals, with the attack rating, the buff, and everything else she brings to this team, guys. Without having Albedo, a lot of the teams don't work without really having her built. We have Mulan, we have Ainz, and we do have Merlin within the S-. Now again, a lot of players are still kind of on the fence with Ainz. Ainz still does incredibly well, guys. I still use Ainz in the campaign. Ainz is still a very, very strong hero in a lot of different game modes, which is really cool to see, because he's still to the point now. The power creep is kind of taking him away a little. When you look at like the Awakened version of Belinda and the power she puts out compared to Ainz, which I believe is about 2 years old at this point, Belinda will always do a lot more damage. That's why he's falling out a little bit, but still does have some pretty good viability. Merlin support, of course, a lot of viability there. Now Yennefer, interesting enough, still used within the Curse Realm, still used within the Treasure Scramble, some of the best in slot campaign formations. I've used her a couple places in the campaign, which is kind of crazy because it doesn't really seem very viable, but it works incredibly well depending on the team you're fighting. Now Queen, of course, still seeing the play within the Curse Realm. I'm still seeing play within the campaign formations. Same with Leonardo. The Leonardo and Raku formation with Khazard works again incredibly well. Ezio, another one that I use. Geralt I have built, and the rest of these down in the C, D, and F tier. I do have them built. I don't use them for literally nothing. Ezio, of course, runs a lot of times with the Awakened version of Brutus as kind of a finisher in there. So definitely looking at the priority, guys. Joan of Arc, my number one priority. I absolutely think that they definitely need something. They definitely need Joan of Arc, again, my number one go-to. But when you look at the damage dealers, short of where Ainz used to be, and he kind of mentions it down here, needs a hyper carry. Are we going to get an awakened dimensional, or are we just going to get an awakened hero that is a dimensional? I don't know, because fundamentally building out the heroes, that would kind of remove the Temple of Time. Probably not, but are we going to get a hero that is released within the dimensional faction that is on the same strength level maybe as an awakened hero? That is kind of yet to be seen. Exactly what is going to happen in here. And sad, guys, Arthur just continues to get bumped on the list. But again, even having him built, I don't have any utility. I don't use him for anything, unfortunately, at this point. Same with all of these heroes in this bottom tier. Even Geralt, he works really well within the Temple Rift, but really that is the only place that he is being utilized. So definitely, guys, cool to see the tier list. I love seeing the tier list. I love being able to go through these. And I love reviewing it with a video, with a YouTube video, just because a lot of players have a lot of questions about these. And I kind of giving the narrative. Again, big shout out, guys, to Rockaday for putting this together. It is absolutely amazing. I hope he keeps it going and just adds and adjusts heroes as we need. That was kind of my goal when I did the tier list earlier this month, is we're not seeing, again, a lot of the visual content creators out there. So definitely being able to make the guide and adjust the guide as we need. I might still go through and just continue editing and altering mine. But I do, again, want to get to a point where we can kind of tag the heroes in here with their optimal builds, kind of like what I'm doing with my YouTube shorts. That way we can see exactly, what they need and what carry, regardless of the hero, really putting the numbers together here and making it a viable living document. That way we can use it and adjust it as needed. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's video. Again, I'll put a link down to this below. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.